All right, welcome to today's Explainer. We're jumping right in today because we are unpacking a really fascinating and honestly deeply urgent topic. We're looking at the ultimate showdown, our modern, concrete cities versus the raw forces of nature. Specifically, we're going to explore how poor urban planning actually amplifies the catastrophic losses we see from natural disasters. We usually look at the aftermath of a massive storm or an earthquake, and we just blame the weather or the fault line. But the truth is, the actual blueprint of our cities plays a massive, hidden role in the destruction. So buckle up because we are going to break down exactly how this happens.
So let's kick things off with a question that kind of flips the script on how we view these events. Are natural disasters entirely natural? I mean, it sounds like a trick question, right? But this is the core myth we absolutely have to challenge. Yes, earthquakes, hurricanes, torrential rains, those are unstoppable forces of nature. But the sheer scale of the destruction they leave behind in our cities, that isn't entirely natural at all. As we'll see, the disaster itself is inevitable, but the vulnerability? Well, that's often engineered by our own choices.
And that brings us to Section 1, the concrete problem, from natural landscapes to impervious jungles. Over the last century or so, we've essentially taken breathable natural landscapes and turned them into tightly sealed, impervious jungles. Modern urbanization relies heavily on stuff like concrete, asphalt, and steel. Now, don't get me wrong, these materials are fantastic for building sprawling cities quickly, but they come with some major hidden costs. Think of natural land cover, your wetlands, forests, green spaces, like a giant, brilliant sponge. It absorbs rainfall, reduces runoff, and acts as a natural barrier against flooding. But when we pave over all of that with impervious surfaces like asphalt, we literally strip the land of its ability to manage water. The water just has nowhere to go, and that directly causes severe urban flooding. But hey, it's actually not just about the water. Ever heard of the urban heat island effect? UHI for short. Basically, concrete and asphalt are incredibly good at absorbing and holding onto the sun's heat. This cranks up city temperatures way past what you'd see in surrounding rural areas. And why does this matter for disasters? Well, because all that trapped heat intensifies heat waves, creates massive spikes in our energy grid demand, and it actively makes drought conditions worse. So our building materials are literally amplifying disaster risks before a single drop of rain even falls. To put this into perspective, let's look at the 2015 Mumbai floods. This is a perfect, though tragic, example from the research. This wasn't just a case of unusually heavy rain, it was a total crisis of urban design. Decades of unchecked urban growth meant wetlands were filled in, natural floodplains were completely paved over, and rivers were channeled. So when those heavy monsoon rains hit, the natural waterways were totally clogged. The land couldn't breathe, the water had no way to drain, and it led to catastrophic flooding. It's a textbook case of what happens when we short-circuit nature's built-in water management system. Which leads us to Section 2, how we amplify disasters, turning neutral events into catastrophes. Here is a statement straight from the science that might sound a little controversial at first. Natural disasters themselves are actually neutral events. Seriously, the Earth releases seismic energy, or atmospheric pressure shifts. It's our human choices that turn those neutral environmental events into deadly catastrophes. For starters, we consistently build right on high-risk coastlines, riverbanks, and active seismic zones. Then we add substandard building practices into the mix. We neglect basic infrastructure like the stormwater management we just talked about. And finally, we fail to build proper emergency evacuation roads. None of these are acts of nature, these are structural vulnerabilities that we created. And those vulnerabilities carry an unimaginable human cost. Just look at the 2010 Haiti earthquake. The seismic event was incredibly powerful, yes, but studies show the mortality rate was as high as it was because incredibly dense populations were living in substandard, poorly regulated buildings. When the earth shook, the tragedy wasn't just the quake, it was the catastrophic structural collapse of the concrete around them. It is a sobering, very real reminder that poor urban planning is quite literally a deadly vulnerability. All right, let's move to Section 3, the true cost, measuring the human and economic toll. 2 to 3 times. I want you to just let that number sink in for a second. The research shows that cities with high impervious surface cover, the ones completely paved over with concrete, experience up to 2 to 3 times more flood damage than cities that preserve their natural land cover. Just by choosing concrete over green space, a city effectively triples its financial and structural bleeding the second a flood hits. That is wild. And the economic numbers are just staggering. $45 billion, billion with a B. That was the estimated economic damage from the 2011 Thailand floods alone. And why was the bill so high? Because massive industrial zones and commercial utilities had been recklessly built directly on natural floodplains. When the floodwaters naturally returned to those plains, they decimated these poorly placed economic hubs, causing long-term global financial setbacks.
So the toll is just incredibly multifaceted. Poor planning leads directly to higher fatalities and injuries, especially in dense, unsafe settlements. It leads to the massive destruction of commercial utilities. And honestly, the recovery is grueling. Rebuilding a poorly planned city is costly, it takes forever, and it causes prolonged social disruption. Basically, you aren't just paying for the storm, you are paying a massive premium for the failure to plan for it.
Okay, I know that's heavy, but it isn't all doom and gloom. Let's pivot to how we fix this in Section 4, Designing Resilient Cities, a blueprint for survival. So how do we actually create a blueprint for survival? Well, urban planners today have a pretty incredible toolkit. We can use green infrastructure to naturally absorb rain. We can use sustainable building materials like permeable pavements that actually let water seep right through them, and materials designed to flex during earthquakes. We can engineer advanced water management systems. We can enforce strict risk-aware zoning so we stop building in floodplains. And of course, we can deploy early warning systems to keep citizens informed in real time. For a really spectacular example of this in the real world, look at Singapore. They are absolute pioneers in green infrastructure. By actively integrating massive urban forests, parks, and green roofs right into their city design, they have essentially built a giant, citywide natural sponge. This vegetation absorbs the rainfall, drastically reducing flood risks, and it provides natural cooling that mitigates that urban heat island effect we touched on earlier. They are literally designing nature back into the concrete. Or let's look at Rotterdam's approach to water management. Rotterdam faces huge flood risks, but instead of just pouring higher concrete walls, they designed these things called water plazas. These are incredibly innovative public spaces, picture basketball courts or little amphitheaters, that are engineered to sit lower than the street level. So, when there's heavy rain, they automatically transform into temporary storage basins for thousands of gallons of floodwater, keeping it completely out of homes and businesses until the storm passes. It's just a brilliant functional design. So boiling it all down, what is the ultimate blueprint for survival? It's really these 3 steps. Number 1, integrate green infrastructure and permeable materials so the earth can breathe and handle water. Number 2, enforce strict, risk-aware zoning. We have got to stop building on top of floodplains and seismic hotspots. And number 3, educate communities and deploy real-time monitoring. That is exactly how a city evolves from a vulnerable concrete jungle into a resilient ecosystem. There is a quote from the source material that really just hits the nail on the head. Natural disasters are unavoidable, but urban planning can determine whether a city survives or succumbs. I mean, that says it all, right? By making smarter, science-backed choices, our cities can coexist with nature instead of fighting a losing battle against it. The future of urban living totally depends on integrating this science into the very foundation of our streets. I want to leave you with a thought to chew on today. The next time you step outside, really look around at the streets, the buildings, and the parks in your own hometown. Look at the blueprint of your own city. Is it designed to survive nature or succumb to it? Thanks so much for joining me for this explainer. Keep asking questions, keep looking closely at the world around you, and I'll catch you in the next one.